a story that makes your blood run cold. Who and why took the life of a pregnant woman? The ghost of a little girl will tell the truth. Welcome to the channel of true investigations undertaken by people who call themselves psychics. Using their superpowers, they see the past and the future and take up shocking criminal cases and mysterious secrets that will send cold shivers down your spine. This story is about a supernatural force that has been haunting an ordinary family from Ukraine's Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. It all began after funeral wreaths mysteriously appeared at their home's gate.
The gate opens, and Vitaly, my brother, comes into the yard running with scared eyes. "Why are the wreaths at the gate?" he asked. It was a shock. There was a round wreath over here with flowers and a black ribbon, and a basket of flowers. It was next to it. It was horrible because you don't find such things at your gate every day.
Ola asked her neighbors, but nobody had seen who had brought the wreaths or when it happened. The woman didn't know what to think since the family had no enemies, and they'd never even quarreled with anybody.
My husband burned the wreaths. He grabbed them with a pitchfork and took them to the fire.
Ever since, the family's life has turned upside down.
I never believed in all those mysteries, but what began after that, this is horrific.
Doors began opening themselves in the house, and a window pane cracked and broke itself. And at night, there's a scary moan coming from the backyard that makes the blood run cold. But what's worst of all is that the family members feel they're being watched constantly.
I had this eerie feeling in the backyard, as if someone were watching me. And the dog, howling every night. There's this howling.
When I woke up, I heard footsteps, like someone was walking around the house.
My husband works at the plant bakery, and he delivers bread at night. He's not home at night. When my daughter falls asleep, she then wakes up, calling me and asking if I heard someone walk in the house.
A tragedy almost happened one night. When the mother entered her daughter's room to kiss her goodnight, the heavy chandelier fell from the ceiling and crashed next to the girl's bed.
It was so close that it could have killed Natalia.
The next morning, the mother couldn't wake her daughter.
She slept for 24 hours without waking up. I poured cold water on her and slapped her on the cheeks to wake her up, but she didn't react. When I took her hand, it was cold. Her temperature was 35.5.
The doctors hardly brought the girl back to her senses. The checkup revealed that she had absolutely no health issues. Therefore, the medics assumed she'd been in a pre-coma condition as a result of the shock she'd endured the other day. Desperate, the mother called the psychics.
I really want them to come and help us. I'm not afraid of death, but I'm afraid of losing my children. My children are everything to me.
Our project's regular experts and the best psychics in the Ukrainian nation, Zhana Shulakova and Rubina Tsibulska, agreed to help the family.
Last night I was preparing for the meeting with Olha when I saw my late mother in a dream. I don't know why, but she was with a girl of about 10. I saw a scar on her neck.
Could that girl be somehow connected to Olha?
I don't know. I'd never seen her before.
What if one of the wreaths was from that girl's tomb? Could it be that this is how her spirit was bound to Olha's house?
That girl was strange. Cold emanated from her like she was dead. But she looked alive. My mom said, "You must help her." But I don't know how I could do it.
Mad love that led to a murder is to blame.
The mirror shows me a hole in the ground, although it's not a grave, and there's a woman in it. She's young and beautiful, like her feet are tied up. She holds her hands like this in fear. She's wearing a blue necklace. I see some woman take this necklace off her on. No way. This is Ola who's doing it.
Are you sure it's Olha? And who is this woman with the necklace?
I don't know. The image has vanished.
The cards say the young woman is dead. She was pregnant and she was buried alive.
Dear Lord,
After a while, the psychics are on site in the village where the woman lives.
I beg you to help me. Please help. Some new wreaths appeared here after that. I love my children. Please help me. Please.
Olha, we will do everything we can. Funeral wreaths look like a jinx a lot.
Tell me, please, who could benefit from doing it?
It's quite possible the person who did it bound a spirit that's haunting you to your house.
Can we work in the backyard?
Of course. Come in, please.
All of a sudden, I heard a child's voice calling out quietly, "Mom." But at that moment, Jonna distracted me.
Give me a chair.
Jonna, what is that?
I don't know.
What's this?
A snake's skin.
Oh my god. Do you have a napkin? A snake skin. I can't believe it. Who could leave it here?
I don't know. I swear, I don't know.
Is it some kind of jinx?
It's an attribute for a ritual. Has anybody held a ritual here? It was done by someone with magic abilities.
It's a man. He's young, about your age. He's somehow connected to this house.
Alexei. People always said he looked like a shaman. People said he practiced black magic. He went somewhere. We bought the house from his father.
Could he conduct a black ritual with this snake skin before he left?
The ritual isn't black, no. It's like he was trying to use it to protect the house. But I see the wreaths are connected with this young man.
I see that two sisters asked him to help them. They asked him to save them from grave danger. He did everything he could, but it wasn't enough. Eventually, death returned to their home, and then the women thought he'd fooled them. These women brought wreaths from the graves of their deceased relatives. They did it as revenge on him. But the sisters didn't know he didn't live here anymore.
It was a load off my shoulders to learn they weren't brought here for me and my family.
The cards said there was no spirit bound to the wreaths.
Then, what kind of force has been haunting the house? And where has it come from, and why won't it leave the family alone?
I was shocked. How had the gate been opened? You have to apply strength to open it.
Mom, my mother's spirit is here. She's with the girl who has the scar on her neck again.
The moment the gate opened, there was a shadow behind it.
My mom says that the girl can't get out herself.
Who is that girl? Are you sure you don't know her?
My mom points at Yola. She says, "You know the child." The girl is 9 or 10. She has brown hair and dark eyes, and she's slim. And on her neck, there's a scar like from a knife.
I swear, I don't know who that girl is. I sincerely don't know.
It's strange. Both my mom's and the girl's spirits vanished.
All right. So, the force from the netherworld that's been haunting you has something to do with a murder caused by jealousy. Is anybody there? Did the sound come from here?
Yes, it did. I still don't understand what could have fallen there.
It was like somebody from beyond wanted to draw our attention to them. Then I suddenly saw a shadow. I followed it, and what I saw there was horrific. I saw somebody's body in the field.
Rubina, what is that?
I see a dead girl in the hole. She's very beautiful. She's 17, and oh my god, she was buried alive. Hola, I see you bent over her. What did you do to her?
We unearthed her.
What do you mean?
My husband decided to plant grapevines, so he hired a young man named Bryce. He was supposed to make holes to plant the vines. I was in the house while they were working outside. Then my husband comes in and says, "Here, take a look." And there's a skull in his hand.
But there's not only the skull, but the whole skeleton.
Yes, we found a woman's body. She had a necklace on her neck.
The mirror showed me this woman before the investigation. She had her legs tied and was holding her hands like this, in terror.
This is precisely how she was lying. Her legs were tied with a wire up to her knee.
I saw her lying in a crystal casket.
She was under a layer of shattered glass. I immediately called the police and told them everything. When our local policeman arrived, he simply looked at it and said it was ancient, and we had to call a priest.
It's hard to even think of it. So he told you to do whatever you wished to the body.
I'm shocked.
What did you do with the bones?
We called a priest and buried her.
Could this woman be the spirit haunting your family? I've had a case in my practice where a woman found a man's skeleton in her backyard. It turned out to be the former owner of the house. They disturbed him, and he began doing everything to make the family leave his property. Jana, that young woman indeed lived here.
The mirror shows her house was over there. There used to be a great homestead here. And the young beauty was from a rich family.
A rich, wealthy man lived there. He had 2 daughters.
It looks like before she died, this woman was running away from somebody. Somebody wanted to kill her because of love and a baby she was supposed to give birth to. She was pregnant when she was killed. Where did you bury her?
Where the priest showed us. In the woods. Over there.
Why not at a cemetery?
The priest forbade. He said it was possible she'd committed suicide.
Suicide with the legs tied. Buried alive under shattered glass, and how could she bury herself?
Who could kill a young pregnant woman?
Someone she didn't love. She was supposed to marry another man.
The one her parents had chosen, you see.
But she fell in love with another man. And she got pregnant.
That man was poor. Here's the card of poverty. It was forbidden love.
Yes. My grandma told me her parents didn't want it.
And soon she disappeared.
Yes. But Grandma didn't know where she could have gone.
The father killed his own daughter.
But I don't think it's her who's bothering you.
She's grateful because you helped her find peace.
Yes, the priest gave a funeral service.
You did the best you could for her. She's deeply grateful.
In my vision, I saw you take off her necklace.
She had a bead necklace of a tenderly blue, turquoise color. We collected all the beads and put them all in.
In the grave?
Yes.
Do you hear the steps? Look. This girl, she's here.
Is it this spirit from the grave?
Yes.
She's calling it.
Does she want to help?
Let's go. The woman has stopped at a house. She said the ghost that's haunting Olha came from here. Then she vanished.
Whose house is this? It doesn't look to be habitable.
Oh my god. I see some really terrible things in the mirror. It's showing me a young woman of about 20. She lived in this house and she was brutally murdered.
She was stabbed with a knife many times.
Yes, she was killed.
She's not related to you, but you, Ola, treated her like family.
Yes.
Who is she?
Tetiana.
Tetiana was the sister of Olha's first husband, whom Olha divorced many years ago. She was friends with his sister. In 2009, Tetiana was brutally murdered. It happened at night in her own house. She suffered over 70 stab wounds. She was 21.
Hold on. I feel a double heartbeat. Was she murdered while she was pregnant?
Yes. She was in her 7th month. It wasn't just shock, it was a nightmare.
Tetiana was murdered after midnight. Her husband was traveling on business. Her mother, who lives nearby, found her body in the morning. She came to bring her pregnant daughter milk.
Everything was covered in blood. I screamed. I saw nothing but it.
The mirror shows me a good-looking young woman. Fair hair, blue eyes. She looks like an angel. It was she who murdered Tetiana.
She's in prison. She's fair-haired and blue-eyed.
Inna used to live in the same village with a little daughter and a husband. The woman looked very youthful and sweet. Nobody could believe she could do something like that.
The cards tell me she did it out of jealousy.
Rumors said Inna was jealous of her husband's interest in Tetiana.
But I don't feel there was something between Tetiana and Inna's husband. But something connected them, though it wasn't an affair.
A job.
Before Tetiana got pregnant, she'd worked in an engineering brigade, where Inna's husband also worked.
The cards told me Inna was aggressive and cruel, and her childhood was to blame. She didn't have the love and care of her parents, so she feared she would lose the only person she loved, her husband. I felt the presence of somebody who loved Tetiana a lot and blamed themselves for her death.
Over there.
Come over here, please.
I'm her sister, Anastasia.
Why do you feel guilty?
Because I didn't stay with her.
Anastasia helped her sister and often stayed to spend a night with her. She thinks that if she'd been around that night, Tetiana could be still alive.
How old were you when it happened?
I was 17.
Do you really believe you could have defended her? Do you realize you die together with her? Don't blame yourself, never. To find out if it's Tetiana's spirit haunting Olha, I decided to tune to her through her sister. It's not Tetiana. Tetiana doesn't haunt Olha.
My mom returned again. The scarred girl is with her. The girl says, "My name is Maya."
Maya.
This is her spirit that's haunting you, Ola.
Maya.
It seems the victim's sister, unlike Olha, knows who it might be.
She wanted to name her daughter Maya. Maya.
It turns out Tetiana was pregnant with a girl and had already chosen this beautiful name for her.
The girl looks like she's 9 or 10 years old.
Wait, how long ago was this murder? At 10, right?
Yes, 10 years ago.
Why does she keep coming?
God, it's so terrible. The belly is cut. The belly is cut. She stabs the baby, like, oh my God.
This is horrible. Oh God. This is why I see the scar on the spirit's neck.
She was murdered before she even had a chance to be born. Do you see it? Her first breath became the last one. It was a huge shock for the baby.
The souls of people who experienced great shock at the moment of death may stay in our world. This is exactly what happened to this girl.
She's walking around looking for her mom. It was she who's been haunting your house.
I felt it. A swallow flew into the house several times.
It was a child's innocent soul.
The spirit of the murdered girl has come to Ulhe. She was giving the signs, so her presence would be felt.
Yes, I occasionally heard the word mom, like someone was calling.
She's simply looking for her mother. The child doesn't know her mother is in the other world. Unfortunately, this dead girl is the source of the danger, though she's doing it unwillingly.
She brings dead energy with her.
Help me, please. I fear for my children, not for myself.
We must help the child find her mother.
Мама, я в командарик. Умогина манга.
The girl's spirit is here. Tell her she must go. She'll hear you and she'll listen to you.
Maya, please, stay with your mother.
And let me go, please. Give me peace. Baby, I'm not your mother.
I saw little Maya and my mother vanish. They both left, the girl and my mother.
Maya is going to be all right. She'll be with her mom and they're happy to be together.
I'm so grateful to you, I swear. We all feel a great relief. Thank you so much.
A horrific crime committed by a jealous woman ruined so many lives, and its consequences, as a mysterious black hole, began ruining the lives of absolutely innocent people. If the story impressed you, don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to our channel, so you won't miss new episodes of the Psychic's investigations. The criminal tried to escape punishment for a gruesome murder. However, another punishment caught up with him: the revenge of a ghost. Welcome to the channel of true shocking investigations conducted by people who call themselves psychics. Using their abilities, they look into mysteries of the past, unmask wrongdoers, and solve unbelievable mystical riddles. In this episode, the clairvoyants challenge a poltergeist that's attacking an ordinary Ukrainian family. The mother of the family, Lyubov Havrilyuk, asked them to help after her family found human bones under their house's windows.
Over here, when they were laying gas pipes, the worker who was working here found the bones.
After a strange find, events that send chills started happening in the house.
It was about 3 in the morning. I woke up with a feeling as if somebody had ordered me to do it. I opened my eyes and rose, and then I saw a human silhouette standing in the room.
The unknown mysterious force started doing everything to make Lyubov's family leave the house.
For example, there are dishes in the kitchen, and then you hear clattering like something has exploded, and you see the dishes shatter into tiny pieces.
A glass burst itself in the cupboard. They've got some kind of bad energy there in the house.
Since then, the mother stopped leaving her children home, alone.
I'm afraid that something can happen to them. They're little. I can't even go outside without them. They never stay home alone.
To provide for his family, the father works abroad, and the woman lives in constant fear.
Lyubov was so scared that me and a few of our friends took turns spending the night at her home. We were sitting drinking coffee when we heard some distant noise. It was the noise of the door being opened and closed. Then we saw a shadow in the corridor. It resembled a human silhouette.
A human silhouette without legs, only the body and the head. My friend told me, no offense, but I'll go. And she left me alone.
But the last straw for the mother was a nightmare, after which she became sure that the bones found by the family will bring death to her family.
In that dream, I saw 4 caskets, and a woman was lying on a bed next to the caskets. There are 5 people in my family.
They even had several cameras installed in the house to register the mystical phenomena. And what they saw in the recordings is absolutely surreal. First, the cameras begin losing the signal, and then the things begin falling from the shelves. To stop the aggressive poltergeist, the most powerful psychics of Ukraine, Zhana Shulikova and Olena Kurilova, came to visit the family.
I had had a dream of a white room. I heard children's laughter in it. It was so vibrant. When I entered, I saw a ginger girl, very cute and about 6 years old, riding a bicycle and pointing her finger upward onto the skies. And there was a slipknot. What slipknot? For someone to hang themselves. It was empty.
Soon afterward, the clairvoyants arrive at the site. Lyubov meets them at her house. The father is at work, while the children are at school.
I've been looking forward to seeing you. Please help me. Human bones have been unearthed in my yard.
Over here, please, and here. Was the hole here where I'm standing?
Yes, it was right over here.
It's so terrible. We saw the spirit whose bones had been disturbed. It was a man. He was telling us something, but I didn't understand him.
Are those the man's bones? But who was he? How come his bones ended up in this yard?
If you disturb someone's bones, the person will seek revenge. And a disturbed spirit wants to do only one thing to revenge: to take you to the netherworld. The bones lying here underground took a man with them. He died with his skull smashed. His head was broken.
One man who we hired, a worker, fell and died. After he found the bones, he took them and laughed, asking what he was supposed to do with them. And he died after he hit his head. His skull broke, and he died.
Had you taken the bones to the graveyard and buried there, you could have avoided the death. Olena, what's wrong? Olena. What are these? Why didn't you tell us? Here 1, and 2, and 3.
3 graves, 3 graves.
Dear Lord, is it a cemetery here?
The old people told us that there were bones down there.
Lyubov says that the local elderly told her where the 3 old graves had been, and Lyubov arranged a flower bed there on purpose. But she never knew about the 4th grave.
A military uniform.
Yes, I was told they were German graves. Could this be the reason? Should we remove them? Or would it better, what am I supposed to do?
I wouldn't even touch these 3. They're calm. These spirits aren't aggressive, and they didn't attack, except one whose bones were found. But neither Lyubov nor her family disturbed the grave, and they didn't touch the bones. He killed a stranger because he disturbed him. Despite everything, the grave that had been unearthed in the yard was radiating calm energy. Hold on. Was a priest ever here?
He was.
This is why they're lying peacefully. He gave them peace.
Then who's knocking in my house?
I sneak hit a glance of a human silhouette behind the house. The only thing I said was that their hands were covered in blood. Wait. Zhana. Olena. Olena, what is that?
Ah! The iron ladder. It was standing like this, but fell like that. It's awful. I was shocked. There's an iron ladder there, and it was standing firm on the ground. Even the wind, however strong, never knocked it down.
Next to the ladder, I saw a spirit of a man with bloody hands. And then I noticed he had a slipknot on his neck.
Who could he be? Some relative of mine?
I don't know. You see, he wasn't actually standing. His head was bent like this, and then his feet were above the ground. He was hanging.
As soon as Elena began describing the man's spirit, I heard some weird noise coming from inside the house. Come over here. I saw some dead woman's spirit, and she was repeating the same word over and over again. I think it was a name, Alina. Wait, she is standing? The woman is standing, definitely standing. Alina, who is this Alina?
I have no idea.
What's going on in this house? How many spirits are there active in it, and why?
I don't know who she is. Wait, take who and from where?
We couldn't understand what the deceased woman's spirit was trying to tell us. Who is she anyway? And who is that Alina? And what are we supposed to take?
I decided to take my pendulum and work with it. The gate to the yard. I asked the pendulum where the woman's spirit came from, and it led me to a mob. Where are we going? Give me your hand.
What is your name?
Elena.
Do you hear knocking in your house? Footsteps and squeaks of rapping.
Yes, I've experienced it. I heard the steps and rapping. I thought somebody was knocking on the window pane because the dogs began barking. I went outside but saw nobody, but it felt like someone had put a hand on my knee.
Does this mean the unknown force has been creating chaos not only in Lubov's house?
This is my mother.
Both the mother and the daughter experience absolutely identical events in their houses. I had a feeling that some unearthly force was bound to this family. But the question is, why?
I suggested going to Olena's house and try working there.
There was such powerful necrotic energy around the house I even feared to step into the yard. Let's go and check in the house.
I'm trembling.
Oh my god. Oh my god, I can't believe it. Screaming, blood, and somebody's hands washing something. I saw a clear picture of the house's walls splashed with blood and some man wiping them out hastily, as if he were trying to cover up traces of a murder. Elena. Where's Elena? Elena, what are you doing here?
There's a little girl here, 7 or 8 years old, and in any case, not more than 10. She's a spirit. It was the same ginger girl from the vision I had the other day.
Was there a child that was murdered in your yard?
No.
She, the little girl, says, I'm playing with her. Is there any little girl living in your house?
Yes. Olenka, come here, please. There she's coming.
Hello, darling. Are you Olenka?
Yes.
Olenka is Lyubov's niece.
Wait, stay here. Please, have you seen a little girl?
Yes. She was standing in front of the small room.
Was her hair red?
Yes, she was red-headed.
The spirit of the girl I saw in the yard. She wasn't just dead. She was murdered, and she was haunting the house to see her murderer. I couldn't say it in front of the child, so I asked Olenka to go inside. Would you kindly draw her for me? In general features, can you?
Yes.
The dead girl is in your yard, riding a bicycle. What's she doing here?
She's somehow bound to the house. She tells me, one moment. She's bound, thought the man. She says he killed her. Victims' souls only haunt their murderers as if they manage to get away with the murder. It was exactly the case.
My sister's husband, before he married her, he was driving the car in the neighboring village, and he ran over her. While she was riding her bicycle, she died as a result.
The accident took place 20 years ago. The girl died at the scene, while the court ruled Petro, Olena's sister's husband, innocent as the child appeared on the road unexpectedly.
Why didn't you tell this earlier? Bring him here.
No need to call him. He's hanging upstairs.
Yes.
Did he hang himself there? In the attic? Upstairs?
Yes.
Now we know who the hung man is.
The man committed suicide in December 2015. He didn't leave any notes or explanations.
Petros, tell me, did I see you on the ladder? Was that you who knocked it down?
Damn it, please.
What's going on? It's something terrifying.
I got scared. Mom, I got so scared.
My heart won't take it any longer. He's extremely aggressive, like it was Petro's spirit. As someone who committed suicide, he's bound to the place of his death. He was mad and restless and craved blood.
Who does he keep coming for?
For the girl.
What girl?
Olenka?
The one who went to draw the picture.
Oh, and dear God.
Jana, he's like a madman. He's lost his mind. And the girl sees Petro.
Yes. She sees him all the time. The back shadow with blue eyes. And her father had blue eyes.
The girl didn't simply see her father. It turned out she's been on the verge of life and death. Her brother saved Olenka at the last moment.
I put my sister Olenka to bed and went out for about 20 minutes. But then I had some kind of vague, discomforting feeling, so I ran home and felt heat. She was sleeping.
When the boy entered the room, he was stunned to see that embers from the stove somehow fell on the linoleum. It had to cover over a meter, as if someone threw it out of the stove. The floor caught fire. Alexander was just in time to take his sister out of the house and call firefighters before it was too late.
We had to check how the child was doing because the girl was alone in the house. So, have you drawn the girl? Could you please show me her? Does she ever talk to you, or is she always silent?
She stands watching.
Most of all, I wanted to know why she keeps haunting that place. Even after her murderer, Olena's dad, left this world. That moment that the woman from the vision I had in Lyubov's house emerged behind the girl. She was hugging the girl, patting her head, and kept saying, "My darling." I got it all wrong, and not Alina. No, I can't bear it. She was taken away.
Who was taken away?
The mother was taken away from her child. And it was done with cruelty. The child became an orphan.
Does this mean that the girl's mother is also dead?
In Lyubov's house, I saw the woman who told me to look for Alina. It turned out that she wasn't asking me to find Alina, but her daughter, Olenka, her darling.
Olenka once told me that somebody was patting her on her head while she was sleeping. When she opened her eyes, she saw her mom, who told her, "Sleep, my darling, sleep."
Olenka's mother came to ask me for help. She was asking to save her darling. But the woman wasn't simply dead. She'd been murdered, and the murder was especially cruel. Who took the mother's life?
He did. Not only wasn't he punished for one, but he also got away when he did it for the second time.
Did Olenka's father kill her mother? But how did it happen? And then why did the man do it?
Tell me her name, please.
Larissa.
Once I tuned into the name, I again saw the image I'd seen earlier that day. Look, He approaches her from behind. Here's the table. She's standing at it. It looks like it's a kitchen. She's standing there or doesn't suspect anything. Then he grabs her like this and starts stabbing with a knife in her face.
The terrifying tragedy happened 2 years ago. Larissa was found dead in the kitchen. The woman bled to death after she'd been stabbed with a knife repeatedly.
11 wounds in her neck and the right side of her head, the forehead and the top of her head were heavily bruised. All I can say is that it was terrible. Really terrible.
Blood all over the walls, so he was trying to wash it off. He was washing the blood off. Petro not only killed his wife, but he covered up all the traces. After that, and he hid in the attic and watched the family find Larissa's dead body.
He wasn't going to hang himself, but no, he wasn't.
Then what was he going to do?
It feels like he hears you scream. He hears you scream over her. When you began screaming, he realized he'd have no way out of here.
We were told my sister had gone by 10 o'clock. She stopped answering her phone at 8. And at 10, he was talking to our neighbor, cracking jokes with him. And afterward,
He said he had some work left to be done.
back then, he was seen alive.
The little girl that he'd killed was next to him.
The little girl he'd killed was next to him. The child's spirit had been haunting him in his dreams and when he was awake. As a result, the man paid a high price with his own sanity.
He started losing his mind.
When he murdered Larissa, he wasn't a human anymore. It's like a demon took hold of him.
It was Larissa who was haunting Lyubov's house. She was trying to tell her sister to ask for help and save Olenka from her father's angry spirit.
The spirit of the dead red-headed girls keeps haunting the house because she's trying to save Olenka from her father, who keeps hunting her.
Petro's spirit was very aggressive. We had to trick him out of the house and close it, and so he'll never enter it.
Do you have any of his possessions left at home?
I do.
The personal possession to bind him to, the ropes to bind him with, the bait to lure him, and fire. Olena, lock it. Have you locked it?
Yes.
The souls of people who took their own life are bound to the places where they died. The house's door is locked for Petro forever, so he won't be able to hurt anybody, and neither in this house nor outside of it.
Thank you so much. I'm genuinely grateful to you.
Thank you for helping us.
Several months after the investigation, Lyubov called to say that the ritual had worked and her family was finally living peacefully.
It's so calm and quiet, and I'm not afraid anymore and can go outside. The fear is gone.
Does Olenka still see spirits? Is she scared?
No. Olenka is not scared at all. She can stay at home alone without any fear at all. Thank you so much.
Every deed has consequences, they say. The fact that the man guilty of a terrible accident got away with the child's death resulted in a tragedy not only for him, but also for his whole family. If you're impressed by this story, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to our channel. There are many more impressive investigations by the psychics in stock for you. The dreadful murder of an 8-year-old girl. When adults lie, the child's spirit will reveal the truth about the pedophile murderer and his hypocritical accomplice. Welcome to Psychics Investigate. There are only real impressive stories that people who call themselves psychics try to sort out here. In this episode, a young woman from a small town in eastern Ukraine contacted the clairvoyants. Katerina is searching for her 8-year-old sister, Valya.
Hello, help me, please. My sister disappeared 12 years ago. She was my only close relative. I loved her so much.
One August evening of 2006, little Valia was playing with her friend in the courtyard of the 5-story building in which their family lived. Later, her friend came back home while Katerina's sister disappeared.
We went to the police after waiting for 3 days and hoping she would probably be back. But Valia never returned.
The police did the search and interrogated people, asking if someone had heard or knew something.
However, they found no clues. Nobody had seen or heard anything suspicious.
After a week of the search for the little Valia Varic, the police informed the family they had presumably found her, dead.
The girl had been strangled, but the family was never asked to identify the body.
They said the body was heavily mutilated. They only showed us her things, and we recognized some fragments of her clothing.
Does this mean you didn't even see your sister's body at the funeral?
No, they forbade us. There was a policeman who accompanied us to make sure we didn't open the casket.
Do you mean you're uncertain if she's dead?
Yes. Here's her final photo.
I had a vision. A man's hands holding a wire, which is tied in a very strange knot. The knot is tied around the little Valia's neck.
I understand it won't console you, but you really buried your sister? The child is murdered. She's like crucified and has a crown of thorns on her head.
A shocking revelation. Was this a ritual murder, or what else could the clairvoyant's words mean?
She was found at a military graveyard. They said she'd been strangled with a wreath.
Her murderer was never found.
No.
I'd like to tune into the site where she disappeared.
We took the girl's photo to work with it later that day.
In the morning before the investigation, the psychics started discussing something excitedly.
The murdered Valia was standing in front of me, but she wasn't alone. Next to her was a girl of her age. She was dark-haired and had a dandelion wreath on her head. She was also murdered. They were both strangled.
Could it be some kind of serial child killer?
Meanwhile, the little Valia's friends and family have gathered in the courtyard in which she disappeared.
I saw her say goodbye to a girl, then look at her phone and leave the playground.
Let's summon the girl's spirit. She says, Katunya.
Yes, this is what called me. Forgive me, my dear little sister. I couldn't protect you.
She says it's not your fault.
She sees a car of fair color. Its window is open, and through the window, she sees someone's eyes. The eyes are smiling, and she smiles in response.
Katerina says she also heard about the car from one of the neighbors.
When she looked out of the window, she saw a white car. Valia was getting into it.
There's a man in the car. He gives her a doll, and the girl gets in his car. The man accelerates sharply. He takes her somewhere where there's nobody around. The man tormented the child. It's so terrible. It's not a human, but a beast. Oh, God. She was thrown away like a broken doll.
The body was in a strange pose. It looked like he attempted to rape her, but we were never told if she was raped or not. She would never approach a stranger, even to get a doll.
He looks like someone she used to know, but then didn't see for some time.
Her godfather He often went to work abroad. Every time he returned, he brought her presents.
Valya's godfather was in another town on the day when she disappeared, but the girl didn't know that.
She took the other man for him.
Because of the doll.
Your sister's murderer is dead. She showed us him. He died in the same car. It looked like it crashed. The last thing he saw in the darkness was your sister's eyes. And then, the brakes squealed and the car crashed into a tree.
But Valya's spirit asked us to help another girl who's being threatened by another man. It's a little girl of about 7 or 8.
We don't have any little girls in our family.
Valya's spirit says you're the mother of the girl we're supposed to save from death.
Do you have a daughter of 7 or 8?
Yes, Amina.
It turned out that this young woman lives with her family in one of the neighboring buildings. She and her mother and aunt were on the way home.
I saw the psychics, and so we decided to come up.
Lisa was planning to contact the psychics anyway because some kind of evil spirit has been haunting her little daughter.
Something is threatening the child. I fear for her.
However, Zhana Shulikova feels that the threat emanates from a human. But the girl's mom claims it's an otherworldly entity.
I saw a notebook, and in it, there was a phrase written in a kid's handwriting, "He's the evil," and there was one word there. Had I deciphered it then, I would have made the mother confess everything.
Could the phrase from the child's notebook mean the otherworldly force? What is going on to the little Amina?
Smoke. Fire.
Did you have a fire at your home?
Yes, we did. My mother woke up and ran to extinguish it.
It turned out that one night, the whirring in the apartment where the family lives burned, and the curtain caught fire quickly. Lisa's mother was extremely fortunate to extinguish the fire, but Lisa believes somebody from the other world stands behind the fire.
I felt something pass by me, but when I turned around, I saw nothing.
And a few days before the fire, Lisa witnessed somebody's ghost next to her daughter.
The silhouette was vague, as if it was made of smoke or mist.
You're not the only one to feel it.
My aunt feels it too.
I felt something, like a hand, running along my hair. I got so scared.
To find out what is threatening Lisa's daughter, I needed to see the girl. Hello? Could you please give me your hands? You can take the child. I see a storeroom. I see a little girl sobbing next to a suitcase. She's holding a doll in her hands. But the doll looks like it's smeared in something red. Like blood. It's not Amina, but energetically, this girl is very much like Amina.
Who could this girl be?
Look over there.
There's a girl sitting on the swing. I saw her in my dream. The dandelion wreath. She was strangled like Valya. She's calling out, "What is this?" It hurts a lot. Dead eyes.
She's lying in a sack. It's so cold around her. She's wearing some dark pants. And the sweater that looks like yours. It's pink. Her feet are bare.
This is my sister.
My daughter.
It's shocking. Jana didn't even know where it had happened.
She was raped, first strangled, and then thrown away.
What was her name?
Ayla. She went to top up my phone and never returned.
That I was absent then.
Back then, Lisa was living in another town. Her mother got ill and stayed home. She needed to top up her mobile phone, and her younger daughter went to do it for her mom.
When she wasn't back in 20 minutes, I went to find her. Having checked everywhere, looking for her, I went to the police.
The officers searched all the neighboring courtyards and playgrounds and asked the little Allah's friends, but they didn't find her anywhere.
She was found 2 days later.
A woman who cleaned the streets found her.
The girl's body was in a trash container not far from the building in which she'd lived. Therefore, the clairvoyants went there.
I didn't want to live without my child. I can't.
I couldn't believe it. I was shocked. I wished I'd been killed instead of her.
I love her so much. I always go to her grave to ask for her forgiveness.
The aunt still remembers the last time when she and her niece went for a walk that spring.
She asked me to make a wreath for her, so I made it. And she put it on her head and said, "I'm a princess." And then she hugged me and pressed me so tightly.
Help me find out who did this to her.
And what happened?
She didn't die here.
She was brought and dumped here several hours before she was found.
After the girl was murdered, she was held in some kind of locked-up room, something like a basement.
The examinations revealed that the girl had been murdered the same night that she disappeared. However, it remains a mystery where her body was kept for over a day before it was dumped into the container.
Allah's spirit told me my murderer threatens Amina.
This is some kind of maniac, or I don't know who it could be.
She will show us where she was murdered.
Allah's spirit brought us to the door and pointed at the apartment on the first floor.
I live here.
What do you mean?
I live here with my mom.
Was she murdered at home? There was something wrong about this story.
Do you have any of the girl's possessions?
Yes.
I have a vivid vision. The girl is tormented. She's raped. And she's strangled.
But how could the rapist and murderer enter the apartment in which the girl lived? And who could he be?
I see the hands of a man. It's a strong man. He has dark brown eyes. And you know this man.
Probably.
You know him. Why is the child calling the murderer her father?
I can't believe it at all. He's the only person I trusted in my life.
We warned her 100 times it could end up in a tragedy at home.
It turned out that Allah called her stepfather, her dad.
By the time her daughter was murdered, Victoria had lived with a man named Gaji for 7 years. The woman's first marriage had collapsed after she fell head over heels in love with the handsome Oriental man.
It's such a great love. But he's in prison now.
For what is he there?
This time, for a rape. He raped Allah.
Gaji Muslimov, who used to live with Victoria, is currently serving a sentence. For the rape and murder of the 8-year-old Allah, he was sentenced to life in prison.
I don't know who the murderer really was. I can't believe he could do it.
The woman is certain that the man she loves would have never done anything like that. He only confessed everything because of the pressure from the police investigators.
They tortured him so badly that he ended up in the hospital.
Our expert found a police officer who was involved in the investigation. And he clearly remembers Victoria's partner confessed to the terrible crime. This is incredible, but the rapist claimed it was all the girl's fault.
He said the girl entered the kitchen and told him she wanted it, so he had sex with her. And when the girl started screaming, he strangled her, and that was it.
Do you know what I'm standing next to?
The storeroom.
The tears. The dark room and the suitcase. Why is the child in the suitcase?
Tell them. Why aren't you saying anything? You complained to me that he'd tied her up and put her in the suitcase.
Ask Mom, and she'll tell you.
The woman won't tell us. But Lisa says the man really locked his little stepdaughter in the suitcase to punish her for misbehavior.
Whenever she took a piece of bread improperly or peeked into the fridge?
Yes, it did happen, but I put an end to it.
But if Victoria admits the man was cruel to her daughter, why does she refuse to believe he raped and murdered the girl, especially after the experts proved he was apparently guilty?
Muslimov's sperm was found in the girl's vagina. Is there any more sound evidence than that?
I see you behind the bars.
I was imprisoned for this.
She spent 4 years in prison
for the murder of your daughter.
For helping him to take the body out of the apartment. But I didn't do it.
According to Victoria, at the moment of the murder, she was in the apartment. Together they came up with a plan to get rid of the child and keep the crime hidden from everyone. They hid the girl's body and then called the police, telling them that she had disappeared. The next night, they took the body out and dumped it in the trash container in the neighboring courtyard. Both his and her testimonies mention it.
He tortured her. Don't tell me you didn't know anything.
No.
But your murdered daughter says you did.
The girl's aunt only found out about this nightmare after her death. She was told about it in front of the morgue, from where they came to take her niece's body for the funeral.
This woman, a medic, went out and said, "I've seen many things in my life, but I've never seen a child who was raped for 2 or 2.5 years.
Could it be a kind of lesson for me? I don't know.
A big mother of a lesson, the child was murdered.
The only thing the mother could think of after her child was murdered was how to avoid prison for the man she loved. But I can't call this feeling love. This is some kind of perversion."
He's also being released soon because he's got the money and hired expensive lawyers.
It turned out that Victoria's partner submitted an appeal, and his life sentence was canceled.
The case was sent for a review, and the court may announce a new sentence soon. The lawyer is sure that Victoria's man will be released.
My client is not guilty. He will be released in any event.
I asked her what she would do after he's released, and she told me, "It's none of your business who I'll be sleeping with."
I didn't wish to spend even a second more in that woman's company.
What was the doll Allah was holding? It looked like it was smeared in blood.
She received it as a present, and she drew all over it. This is how she expressed her emotions.
And I saw a notebook with an awful phrase in it. He is the evil. And there was a third word I couldn't make out.
I had a dream. I was holding that notebook in my hands. And it read, "He is the evil. Dad, period, evil."
She was forced to call him Dad.
The spirit of the raped and murdered girl, through us, wanted to save her niece. Because if that beast is released, little Amina's life will be in danger.
I'm absolutely shocked and stupefied. I'm terrified to even think of what happened to my sister, and I don't want it to happen to my daughter. I'm taking my children and leaving.
You and your family can come and live with me. Oh, you know it well.
After the psychic's investigations, despite all the attempts of the beast's lawyers, the court sentenced him to life in prison. The murderer will never be free again. If you're impressed by this story, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to our channel, not to miss new episodes.